The Magical Dream. It was a bright and sunny morning at the local park where two best friends, Lily and Emma, had gathered for their usual weekend play date. Lily, a lively 7-year-old with flowing chestnut hair and sparkling brown eyes, seemed unusually excited that day. She kept glancing at Emma, her face glowing with excitement as if she had the most thrilling secret to share. Emma, a curious and imaginative girl herself, couldn't wait any longer. She sat on the grass beside Lily, tugging on her friend's sleeve. "What's going on, Lily? You've been acting all weird since you got here. Did something amazing happen?" Lily's eyes widened with delight, and she nodded eagerly. "Oh, Emma, I had the most wonderful dream last night. It was like a fairy tale come to life. You have to hear it." Emma leaned closer, intrigued by her friend's enthusiasm. "A fairy tale? You mean, like, with princesses and magic? Tell me everything." Taking a deep breath, Lily began to narrate her dream, her words coming out in a rush, as if she couldn't wait to let Emma in on the magical world she had visited. "I was in my bed, just like every other night," Lily began, her voice soft and thoughtful. "But as soon as I closed my eyes, I found myself in this beautiful forest. It wasn't a scary forest, though. It was more like those enchanted ones you see in fairy tale books. The trees were huge, taller than any buildings we've ever seen, and their leaves shimmered with a soft golden glow. There were flowers everywhere, but they weren't just regular flowers. They had faces. Little, cute faces that smiled at me as I walked by." Emma's eyes grew wide with wonder. "Flowers with faces? Were they talking to you?" Lily nodded, smiling brightly. "Oh, yes. They weren't just smiling, they were talking, singing even. One of them, a pretty blue daisy, sang a little song about how the forest was enchanted and filled with magic. It told me that the forest was called the Forest of Dreams, where all kinds of magical creatures lived." "Wow," Emma whispered, her imagination already picturing the scene in her head. "What happened next?" "Well, as I kept walking, I saw these tiny, sparkling lights all around me, kind of like fireflies," Lily continued. "But they weren't fireflies, they were fairies. They flew around me, giggling and dancing in the air. One of them, a fairy with the most beautiful wings I've ever seen, pink and gold and glittering, flew right up to me and introduced herself. Her name was Flora, and she said she was the fairy guardian of the Forest of Dreams." Emma's mouth dropped open. "A fairy guardian? That sounds so cool. What did Flora say?" "She told me that I had been chosen to help the forest," Lily said, her voice dropping to a dramatic whisper. "You see, there was a big problem. The magical heart of the forest, this huge glowing gem called the Dream Stone, had been stolen. Without the Dream Stone, all the magic in the forest was starting to fade. The trees were losing their glow, the flowers were wilting, and even the fairies were losing their sparkle. Flora said that only someone with a pure heart, like me, could help find the Dream Stone and return it to its rightful place." Emma gasped, her hands clasped in her lap. "You? Chosen to save the forest? That's amazing! What did you do?" Lily smiled, clearly enjoying the tale. "Well, at first I didn't know what to do. I mean, I'm just a regular girl. But Flora said she would guide me, and she gave me a magical necklace, a tiny version of the Dream Stone, that would help me find the real one. It glowed brighter the closer I got to the stolen Dream Stone." "So, you went on a quest?" Emma asked, her voice tinged with excitement. Lily nodded again. "Exactly. Flora led me through the forest, and I met all sorts of magical creatures along the way. There were talking animals, like a wise old owl who gave me advice, and a friendly fox who helped me cross a river. There were even unicorns. They were so beautiful, Emma, with rainbow-colored manes and shimmering coats. One of them, a unicorn named Stardust, offered to carry me on her back as we searched for the Dream Stone." Emma's eyes sparkled with excitement. "A unicorn named Stardust? That sounds so magical. I can't believe you got to ride a unicorn in your dream. Where did you go next?" "We traveled through the forest for what felt like hours," Lily continued, her voice growing more animated as she relived the dream. But then we reached this dark, spooky part of the forest. The trees were all twisted and the sky was covered in thick clouds. Flora told me that this was the Shadow Grove, where the magic thief was hiding. The necklace around my neck started glowing really bright, so I knew we were close. Emma shivered a little at the mention of the dark forest. Was it scary? Did you find the thief? Lily nodded, her expression becoming more serious. It was a little scary, but I wasn't alone. Stardust was with me, and Flora and the other fairies were flying around to keep me safe. Then, in the middle of the Shadow Grove, I saw this tall figure. It was a sorcerer. He had a long, dark cloak and glowing red eyes, and he was holding the Dreamstone in his hand, draining its magic. Flora told me that the sorcerer had been banished from the forest long ago, but he came back to steal the Dreamstone to take revenge. Emma's eyes grew even wider. A sorcerer? How did you defeat him? Lily leaned in closer, lowering her voice as if sharing a secret. At first, I didn't know what to do. The sorcerer was really powerful, and I didn't have any magic of my own. But then, Flora told me that the necklace I was wearing wasn't just a guide, it was also a source of magic. I just had to believe in myself and the magic of the forest. So, what did you do? Emma asked breathlessly. I held the necklace in my hand and closed my eyes, Lily said, her voice soft but filled with excitement. I imagined the forest, all the creatures I had met, the fairies, the unicorns, and the talking flowers. I thought about how much I wanted to save them, and then I felt this warm, glowing light inside me. When I opened my eyes, the necklace was shining so brightly that it blinded the sorcerer. He dropped the Dreamstone, and Flora flew in to grab it. Emma grinned, bouncing on her knees. You did it. You saved the forest. Lily beamed with pride. Yeah. Once Flora had the Dreamstone, the magic returned to the forest. The trees lit up again, the flowers bloomed, and the fairies' wings sparkled brighter than ever. The sorcerer tried to fight back, but without the Dreamstone's magic, he wasn't strong enough. Flora cast a spell that banished him from the forest for good. Wow, Emma said, completely engrossed in the story. That sounds like the most amazing dream ever. What happened after the sorcerer was gone? Lily smiled, her eyes dreamy. Flora thanked me for saving the forest and said that I would always be welcome in the Forest of Dreams. Then, all the creatures I had met, the fox, the owl, even Stardust, gathered around to celebrate. There was music and dancing, and the fairies threw a huge party in my honor. They even made a crown of flowers for me and called me the hero of the forest. It was so much fun. Emma giggled. A hero? That's so cool, Lily. You're like a real fairy tale princess. Lily blushed a little, clearly pleased with the compliment. Yeah, it was kind of like being a princess. But it didn't last long. Flora said that the Forest of Dreams only exists in my dreams, and when I woke up, I'd have to leave. But she promised that I could come back whenever I wanted, as long as I believed in the magic. Emma sighed happily, lying back on the grass as she imagined everything Lily had described. That sounds like the best dream ever. I wish I could have dreams like that. Lily lay back beside her, staring up at the sky. Maybe you will someday. Who knows? Maybe the Forest of Dreams will choose you next. Emma smiled at the thought, her mind already wandering to magical forests, fairies, and unicorns. I hope so. But even if it doesn't, I'm just happy I got to hear about your amazing adventure. Lily grinned, reaching out to hold Emma's hand. Thanks, Emma. I'm glad I could share it with you. For the rest of the afternoon, the two friends lay on the grass, their heads filled with magical dreams and the promise of new adventures, both in the world of their imaginations and beyond. As the day drew to a close and the golden light of the setting sun bathed the park in warmth, Lily and Emma promised each other they'd keep dreaming, and who knows? Maybe one day, they'd find themselves in the Forest of Dreams together, side by side, on a new adventure.